Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to the Cool Kids Lunch Table Podcast with PJ and Mike. Now find yourself a seat at their table.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Cool Kids Lunch Table Podcast with PJ and Mike. I'm PJ.
And I'm Mike.
And we've been missing for a little bit. We missed a week. We're sorry.
Yep.
Life took over for a little bit. We had some things to work out, but we're back. We got a new setup for our video section here. And we're back with a big topic. The Joker, Folie, Deux.
Folie, Deux.
Folie, Deux. Which is the new Joker movie directed by Todd Phillips, a sequel to the Joker that came out, was it 2019?
Yeah.
Starring Joaquin Phoenix. So, just a quick recap of the original movie, I think, just so we know where we are.
For sure.
Let me ask you this. The original movie, you like the original?
I loved it, yeah.
Okay. My feeling on the original movie was that it was an excellently made movie. It just wasn't a Joker movie. But in terms of an actual piece of film, I think it was done very well. It introduces us to the character of Arthur Fleck, played by Joaquin Phoenix, who eventually becomes the Joker in a much different fashion than comic book fans were used to.
Yep.
There's no falling into a vat of acid.
Yep.
There's there's none of that, right? It was more of a psychological thriller, if you will, that shows his descent into madness because of mental health issues. Eventually, he becomes the Joker.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So the second movie, and we'll spoil it. I don't know that we're going to do an actual recap of the plot from A to Z.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're going to definitely spoil some bits and pieces of it as we go through this. It kicks off with us meeting the Joker in prison.
Yep.
Right after what happened, after the events of the first movie, he's now in jail, and when we now see the current status of Arthur Fleck. Now, go ahead.
Let's start with this. I want to start with this.
Yeah.
Because we're about to do you got to give us a setup.
Yep.
Going into this, did you see any reviews for Joker 2?
No.
Or whatever the heck those people got early access?
I really did not read much about it. I saw the movie on Thursday. It technically came out on Friday. I saw it Thursday night. I didn't read too many of the reviews going in.
You're right.
Other than I saw a lot of people bitching and moaning that it was a musical. But I already knew that going in. Warner Brothers was very clear about that going in. So that wasn't a shock to me.
I didn't watch any reviews. I did see, just because I'm on social media, whatever it is,
like some stuff,
and you see the title card, disappointing, horrible.
But I didn't click into them to
exactly.
read why.
So I was like, I can't go into this with I gotta go in it I don't want anyone spoiling it. Spoiling my. I can't go in there already with opinion already. I can't do that. Wouldn't be fair to the filmmaker, Todd Phillips, or everybody else. But did you like it, hate it, love it, whatever?
I don't know if there are words to describe how much I disliked this movie.
Wow. Okay. So for me, I didn't truly hate it. I just thought it was just disappointing. Look, as you always say, PJ, did we need a sequel, folks? No.
No.
But say the line.
But we live in a world in which Joker, Folie, Deux exists.
Exactly. So we had to,
So we saw it because what are you gonna do? The reason I always see these movies the day they come out is inevitably, in spending 90% of my life in a comic book store, it's gonna get spoiled if I don't see it immediately.
Yeah.
So, comic book movie comes out, I'm at the theater for it, and so I saw it, and there were I'll start with this. What I did really, really appreciate, and the minute it started, I'm like, this is going to be a good movie.
Yep.
It starts with an animated...
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to call it a scene or a...
cartoon.
Credits, but it's like an animated short.
Yeah, and it's almost like the opening credits. Yeah, man. And they actually had because it's a Warner Brothers, they actually had
the Warner Brothers logo. It was good. I was immediately drawn in. I'm like, this is going to be something good.
Yes.
I love the opening. And it was almost... kind of, sort of, a little bit of a recap of the last movie. Yep. As it leads into the live action piece, and it was a creative way to start it, and it felt like old school animation. It wasn't new CGI shit. It was 2D drawn animation. Yep. And it was good. And then the movie started, and it got real bad real quick.
Right. Well, I'll start with this. Let me start with some of these quick positives.
Okay.
Cinematography wise, it looks great. Overall acting is great. Music, I'm talking about the music in terms of the score. Right. It's the same. Basically, it's the same exact crew as the first film. Yes. So you have basically the same cast. Obviously some new people, but Lady Gaga, obviously.
Right. But you still have Joaquin.
Everything else I say is very good. Is great. As we get into it, is more of just direction in terms of like ideas of where they went to, and then story overall. I just thought was clunky.
As I was watching the movie, I felt like Joaquin Phoenix didn't want to be there.
Really?
That's the impression I got from him. In the first,
I'm surprised he even wanted to do a second. He won an Oscar for this role.
I thought
to do
this.
This
is the first sequel he's ever done.
Wow.
He doesn't do sequels.
Okay.
He's like a Bill Murray.
Right.
He doesn't do sequels, I guess, unless it really speaks to him. And maybe just everything that happened in the first one, the aura of that first movie being so big, maybe he was like, catch lightning in a bottle twice. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I felt he acted great in it.
I felt like he
God bless
bored
him.
The whole time.
He like got himself super thin again.
I know there was one scene you see his back and it's gross.
Yeah.
But my biggest issue with this movie, aside from the fact that I thought the plot was boring as fuck, in the first movie, you meet the character. It's an origin, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know at first that he's crazy. You don't know. He has a job. He's the clown on the street, right, with the signs and all the other shit. And it's not a glamorous job, but you get the impression that he is a normal guy that has a mental mental illness, and he has almost like a Tourette's with that laugh sort of thing, and that makes it hard for him to live a regular life, which is why he still lives with his mother. And you slowly see a descent into madness. Yeah. Because you don't know right away that he's batshit crazy. You don't know that. You see throughout the movie different signs that he's crazy.
Right. He's gonna go. He's gonna go insane. He's basically has a nervous breakdown, and he
like when he's talking to his neighbor.
You're right. The girl. That one.
The girl. Yeah. But she's not really there.
Yeah.
But you don't know that up front that he's that crazy. So you learn that this character is. As you're watching, you learn more about him, and you start to feel that sort of eeriness, that creepiness. But you can't recreate that feeling in this movie because now you already know.
Right. Well, I think the biggest issue with this one, folks, is and I'm not breaking new ground here because I know I've seen other reviews, and I hate to, but it is what it is. The first one, we've seen his transformation. Right. You've seen him go from Arthur Fleck, and at the end of that movie, he's a Joker. He's a Joker. Right. He kills. I mean, it's implied he kills someone right at the end, where his footsteps are. Remember that? There's blood. Right. So he's already he's transformed.
Which, by the way, I'm glad you said that because they imply that he does kill someone at the end.
Yeah.
But they don't mention that in this movie. Yeah. Because they're very specific, is to tell you he killed 5 people.
Right.
It's the 3 people on the subway.
Yep.
It's
Robert De Niro's character, Murray,
and then the other person is the other guy that works. Right. And throughout the movie, he tells certain people, "I've actually killed 6 people because I killed my mother." Right. But in my mind, I thought it was 7 because I thought he killed someone at the end, and they never mention it. But I also think maybe that was in his head. And he didn't actually do it because it was one of those things.
But I didn't get that impression at the end of the first film.
But then why not mention that he killed someone else?
I agree. Well, that's where this what hurts this movie most is really the story, and we'll get back to the plot. So, like PJ said, it starts off at Arkham Asylum, and basically it's 2 years later. It takes two years later. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, and he's about to be put on trial, and he's on trial, and his lawyer basically wants to make the case that he has a split personality. He has a dissociative.
Joker and Arthur Fleck are not the same person.
Yeah. And she seems like a very kind woman. Just giving and it goes against Harvey Dent. Yes. Right.
Which also, as a comic book guy, bothers me. Like, how do we have all of these characters and Batman is still a kid at this point?
Right. I mean, I don't think it's a totally different thing.
It bothers me.
Right. I'm judging this as the first movie. I'm trying to eliminate it from that. I'm saying it from both things.
I get you.
Anyway, just to tell you how Harley Quinn enters the scenario. So, I guess you could call it like Cell Block B, where
I think it was B Ward.
Right.
And that made me laugh because I don't know if it was on purpose, but B Ward made me think of Burt Ward.
Oh, probably.
So I'm thinking.
Oh yeah. So
yeah. He is in whatever ward he's in.
Right. And maybe more high risk or something like that. Yeah.
More security. The police are actually there. And remember in the comics, Arkham is an asylum, but it's for the criminally insane, so the police have a presence. Which is what they've done in this, right? The police are there as guards. And then you get introduced to the B ward, which is, I guess, for less severe cases.
Yeah. Well, people are going to better behavior. So anyway, Joaquin Phoenix, Joker, he because of good behavior, he gets to join like a music club, and that's where you meet Lady Gaga and which. We'll start with that. So basically, that's how it gets. That's how these two meet, and I guess the rest of the film,
Harley Quinn of it all.
right? And basically the rest of the film is basically at that court trial, and then his relationship with Harley Quinn. My thing is, I just cannot believe, and folks, I'm sure you knew this from the trailers. She's not a psychiatrist that falls in love and she turns. This is just she's another patient, which I did not like at all. I knew that. I was really hoping, maybe that's. The trailer is just doing that, but in reality,
Especially because in this movie, we are very early on introduced to a psychiatrist, which might be the same one from the first movie. I don't remember. I don't remember. But it didn't have to be that woman. It could have been Lady Gaga.
Right.
Falling for this guy. It could have made it a much better movie than her being another patient in the facility.
Because all it does is just like, another whack job. It becomes friends with another whack job. It would have been more compelling to see that. Because for me, I felt like, and what I didn't like with this film is that they had, Joker, Arthur Fleck, he's kind of back to his original form, like kind of meek. He's
not the Joker
He's
anymore.
not confident.
And this is why I was saying earlier where I'm like, you can't recreate that feeling of learning who he is, but they almost make you try and recreate that feeling by showing him as Arthur Fleck in the beginning and slowly turning back into the Joker. But it doesn't have the same impact because we already know now.
Yeah. But
it falls very, very flat.
Right. So basically in the film, he's kind of like moping around. He's still getting his ass kicked. And then Harley Quinn, long story, I'll just get to it. She actually admitted herself. She committed herself.
And you find out she did go to school for psychology.
Yeah. And her parents are well-to-do, and she kind of lies.
She lies to Arthur Fleck
about her.
I'm from the same neighborhood. I've had the same abusive background, and I connect with you because of it.
Right.
And then you find out, it's a lie.
You're right.
That's like the twist, but it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and she's really more enamored with
the Joker.
Not really him. It's kind of like almost like a Superman thing. She's really more attracted to Superman than she is Clark Kent.
Right.
Which sounds good when we're talking about it now, but
in execution,
it's not really working, and I still think they should have really.
I don't think she's a great actress, and I think that hurts. I don't think she emoted well.
I don't look, for me, my opinion. I thought she acted very well. I thought all the acting in this film is great. It's fine. She's fine. I just don't. I think what hurts the film most is the musical scenes are really pointless. They don't make it more dramatic.
No, they don't.
I don't think the songs. They're not even really. I mean, some of them are like show tunes, like or Frank Sinatra songs that I know of. But they don't. They don't add to the story.
They don't add or make you feel any different way about it.
It doesn't.
It's almost distracting.
Yeah.
I'm not against musicals. I know some people didn't like this movie solely because it was a musical, and that didn't bother me.
But I think calling it a musical is even. It's not even fair to call it a musical.
No,
there's musical sequences.
But it's not like when you think of a musical.
It's not Chicago. It's not of Grease.
Right. It's just there are songs throughout.
Yeah. You're not have. There's no background dancers or anything like that.
I think part of this movie that kind of hurts it is they don't show really throughout the entire time he's in prison that he's mistreated by any stretch. In fact, you can make an argument that the guards were kind of nice to him.
Yeah, they got a kick out of him.
They got a kick out of him.
I mean, they were kind of mocking him, tell us a joke, but more or less, yeah.
But, hey, tell us a joke, make us laugh, we give you a cigarette. The other cop, who might be the best character in the movie.
Oh, yeah, he's very...
I don't know if he wrote down his name.
Brendan Gleeson.
He plays like the prison guard. I guess he has like an Irish accent.
Yep. You see him, I think he's in Gangs of New York and Scorsese films. He's great.
He was really good. And his whole thing is, all right, Arthur, make me laugh and I'll give you a cigarette. He's the one that rewards Arthur for good behavior and gets him into the musical. Yeah. That guy, I think, played a hell of a role.
Yeah.
But the rest of the acting was just, it was what it was. I thought it all was just one note.
Really? For me, like I said, I think the acting was fine. I had no issue. I thought Joaquin kind of just, everyone was great. I think the biggest issue was the writing and then the direction they took this film in.
The court scenes. If you could have killed me to get out of that, so I wouldn't be in that theater anymore. I thought they were so long, tedious to watch, annoying. You know the first one you feel uncomfortable because they want you to feel uncomfortable, so you This made me feel uncomfortable because of how cringe I thought all those scenes were.
Right. I didn't think it was cringe. I just felt like compared to the first one, and when it comes to sequels, I always say I don't expect it to be better than the first. I just want it to be a good film on its own. It should just I want it to be a good film.
This was not,
and it's not because I think the story's lacking. The musical sequences, like I said, they don't make the scenes more dramatic, and just like where folks, what happens is he gets to trial, okay, and at this point he's in full blown love with Harley.
Lee, they call her Lee.
They call her Lee. And then I mean and that's the thing. You thought the court. I agree. It's for me. It
was just too long.
It just gets a little bit slow, but some of it was there's some good parts in this. When
it was him as Arthur Fleck. And he has his lawyer trying to defend him. It feels almost like an episode of Law and Order, right?
Right.
And it's fine if you're going to go that route, for a couple of scenes or whatever. And then it takes this twist where the more he interacts with Harley Quinn, the less he takes the medication from the asylum.
Yeah.
He becomes the Joker. He decides he's going to represent himself.
Yeah.
Which I think we also are coming a mile away.
Yeah.
The choices Joaquin made during that scene.
Right, when he's using different voices, right?
Different voices?
Well, I guess he's trying to, because folks, he's trying to be like the lawyer, I guess, like in the movies, like, now what do you think? Which I don't really mind.
He has, like, this weird southern drawl that he uses.
Yeah. I feel like that doesn't work because, the movie starts with him very, defeated and, and meek, and it really should have started with him all, here I am, and then I can see him walking in, strutting his stuff, and then making turn into kangaroo court kind of thing.
Make a mockery out of it. But it doesn't follow that route.
Yeah, and it just when he represents itself, he puts the
Joker.
Yeah, but one of the things I know we're jumping all around here. I think one of the movies, the thing I didn't like about the movie was, let's say compared to the first, everything felt like just intense and dramatic, and I feel like this one, when the first time you see him with his makeup on, you're like, I was hoping it could be this big. It's just a dance sequence. I'm like, that's the reveal. I feel like when he puts that makeup, it should be like the Crow. He's putting on back his war paint.
But
it should be something very intense, and I felt like that was very underwhelming.
Yeah.
I'm like, he just has it back on.
He doesn't do anything as the Joker throughout the entire movie. In the first movie, once he's the Joker. He's killing people. He kills those 3 guys. Then he becomes the Joker. Then he kills the other guy from the circus. He starts to do more stuff as the Joker. In this, he doesn't do anything.
Well, there's no action, folks. There's no
None.
There's no
None at all.
there's no real I'm not looking for a shootout, John Wick type stuff. I'm not looking for that.
Something to make you feel like he's the Joker.
Right, and it just felt, like I said, it goes down to, I'm really surprised that they didn't go the route of really doing the whole, in a weird way, I think, now that he becomes a secondary character, like the first one was heavily inspired by Taxi Driver, King of Comedy, some other things. For me, they should have, who cares? There's no shame in being inspired by things, clearly. So why don't you do a Silence of the Lambs kind of thing, where you have, no one wants to work with Joker. No one wants to do the psych eval for the trial for him. So you get Harley Quinn. I'll do it. Someone has a heart of gold. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll give him the benefit. I'll do it. I'm a professional. And then, a Hannibal Lecter thing, he's behind some glass, and then she falls in love. And that could have been really compelling because in the background you have the trial, and she slowly starts to fall more and more.
And the courts all think, Harvey Dent all thinks, this psychiatrist is going to win me the case.
Exactly.
And then he doesn't win the case because he falls in love with him.
And that could have been really dramatic.
I think something else that hurts this movie, and it's not fair to compare, Margot Robbie is the Harley Quinn you want to see when you compare her to other versions. And I understand this is a completely different thing. Right?
Yeah.
But I think, and again, this is unfair to Lady Gaga and unfair to this movie, but you're not getting the Harley Quinn you want in this movie the way you did with the other one. Aside from the fact you take out that Suicide Squad's terrible, the Birds of Prey movie is not good.
Right.
Harley was a bright spot in those movies because she was exactly the Harley you wanted.
Right.
And this doesn't give you that, and I almost feel like you can't help but compare
Well,
other
yeah,
actors,
but this
and
is a different like.
I think it hurt the movie though.
Yeah, but I don't think you could have someone going around, hey, Mr. J. You know, I think that would work. I think for True Blue here, I thought she did a very good job. I think what her goal was, she has to play a manipulative piece of crap, and she executed that. Like, you hated her. Like, this movie, she essentially becomes the villain, and she treats Joker like crap, very manipulative, and like, spoiler alert, she basically, when she finds out where he confesses that I'm not really Joker. It's not.
I didn't like that part either.
Yeah, well, that's what, because it's contradictory. Because the first one, he embraces like that whole thing, like, and this one kind of,
this has
goes backwards.
This has a problem.
But I don't have a problem with the acting, though. No way.
I had a problem with a lot of the acting, and I feel like, again, I'm not saying it's a fair assessment of Lady Gaga's Harley, because I know it's completely different, but you gave me a perfect Harley already, and now you're giving me a new Harley that doesn't feel like Harley. I'm never going to like it.
Well, this isn't the Joker that we know either. Like I said, this is his own thing. I'm not judging it off the comic books. I'm really, as it's a movie.
Then why make it a Joker movie?
Right, I understand, but
I don't like it.
Right, regardless, we live in a world where...
I know,
PJ,
we live in a world,
but this movie, I'm taking the movie as a film, as guys who are critiquing this film, I have to take it for what it is, right? And the first film is what it is, and it's about this man who takes on the Joker thing. I just feel like in this film, I'll keep saying it, the biggest flaw is the story, and just like, I don't know, just like, I don't want to repeat myself, but the music scenes were just kind of, but I don't know if you remember, my two favorite music scenes is actually when they kind of bond together, where they're like running around. They don't really try to escape. They're really just enjoying the chaos. Yeah. Everyone gets at one point that there's a fire and they start running around together. Right. I like that scene. There's a lot of chemistry there. And I like the scene when he's, and all the musical scenes, folks, it doesn't happen like I'll say in story, it happens in his mind. So which is, it's not like all of a sudden he's, singing and dancing, with a cane,
Maybe it would have been better.
Yeah, right. But anyway, it goes in his mind. And I like that musical scene, and I did like the
I like the Sonny and Cher.
Yeah, that was cool. And I like the in the courtroom when he sings that song, I'm Joker. That was actually good. That's the only memorable song. But the rest he does, like, they sing the song like, I got the world on a string sitting on a rainbow. So a lot of those. But there's no, like, big band, like,
no, there's no big, musical number.
It's really more them sing almost to a degree, almost like a cappella. Maybe with a piano in the background. Yeah. So there's no big instrumentation happening. It's just very minimal, just really sing a cappella.
One of the things that bothered me, he's the Joker again, right? And he's representing himself. And every night he has to go back to prison.
But you never really, that's the thing, you never felt he was back, like, you remember the first film, like, he was, like, on the stairs, had that swagger.
That feeling
it's almost like
he lost a lot. That was the reason for the voices, to try and look at the swagger he has. It just doesn't work. Then he goes back to prison, and I forget exactly the reason why, but they wind up, the guards wind up beating him down.
Oh, yeah, because
it's heavily implied that they rape him, I think, which I don't know if I appreciated that either. I don't think it added anything, but it is implied. And that's what makes him go back to being Arthur Fleck, is that he gets beaten down, possibly raped in prison by the guards. And then the very next day, he's not the Joker anymore. He's back to being Arthur Fleck.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like the thing that made him the Joker was he was getting beaten down, and this was his way of rising above.
Yeah.
So now he gets beat down again. Why doesn't he rise above? He should have killed those guards somehow.
Right. Or retaliate,
Or retaliate, right? If not kill him, but some retaliation. And it doesn't happen.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The biggest issue with this movie is really not the performances, it's the writing and the story.
Well, you've said it. You can't turn shit into gold. And it was a bad script. It doesn't matter how much these guys tried.
Yeah.
There was nothing they could do to save it. I didn't like that was what turned him back to Arthur Fleck.
Yeah.
I feel like there needed to be, like, not revenge,
right,
but just like, he's a bad guy, but he's the hero of the movie. He's the protagonist. So you don't win, and you don't get that moment of him being the protagonist.
Yeah.
It makes the movie fall flat, because there's no one to root for in this movie.
I agree. There's a lot of, like, online rumors saying that Todd Phillips, the director, I guess he was turned off that like everyone like saw Joker as like the hero, and I want to look, if I was here with him, like I don't think people like admire the Joker for killing people. I think everyone had
it was an underdog story.
Yeah, and also like a sense of like I'll say like when we say validation, doesn't mean we're just validating the emotion and not the behavior.
Right.
Like I can understand why he killed those guys on the train.
Right.
I don't agree with it. I don't like it.
But the way it's written makes sense.
I understand why he did it. So I think he's taking it as if like we're like, yeah, keep killing those. I don't think. I think the average person anyway is not feeling that way. I think we go, oh, I can understand how we went in this direction in life.
Right.
That was basically it. So I don't know. Maybe this he felt.
You have to
Let me do a Uno reverse card, and you know.
I don't know.
I think another part, like I said, just going back to the court scenes was. I guess it's a big dramatic moment. They have two characters come from the first one.
Mr. Puddles, the midget.
The midget, and then
Am I allowed to say that?
I'm not sure, PJ. Maybe Little People.
We're canceled.
Okay, bye guys. It was a great show. But and then his girlfriend. Well, the girl you think he's dating in the first one,
right? Zazie Beetz. I don't know her character's name.
Right. And I think that is probably the most like, well, especially with what was his name, Mr. Puddles, the little guy.
I don't know. Little guy is worse. Than
right. I think that was the most like dramatic moment because he says like, you know, you're the only one who knifed me, and you did this, and like I was basically saying, I always liked you. When I saw you do this, you traumatized me, and
I always liked you because you were the only person that didn't make me feel small.
Yeah,
which is a great line. It really was. Yeah. And that guy maybe is the best.
And that became like, and shortly after that, I'm not breaking ground here. A lot of people said the same thing in terms of like, but after that is when he decides to basically kind of confess, like, what do they call it? Your last testament? What do they call it? Like oh my God. Closing statement. Right. So at the next scene, he has his closing. And he basically confesses where he, killed a sixth person, his mom, and he kind of just says like, there is no like, there's
no Joker. It's
just
me.
Yeah.
I did these things, and I didn't. I think for me, the ending is he did kill the people. But there's no Arthur Fleck. There's only the Joker. Right. I think to me that's the ending I would have wanted.
Right.
Not there is no Joker. There's only Arthur Fleck. Right. He says it. He says a joke. He does a knock joke. Right. And it's knock. Who's there? Arthur Fleck. Arthur Fleck who? Yeah. Because no one knows who he is, and he ends in the same place he started with no one knowing or caring about him. Yeah. I feel like the ending of this movie is that he ends. Arthur Fleck is gone. He's only the Joker now. I think that would have been a better ending.
Yes, I know. Okay, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, like I said before, like the movie should have started with him already confident. He should have been walking around in that prison smoking cigarettes. Right. He should have been like going like really like doing like like the music could have worked more if he was more swagger. Like even if it wasn't his head, would have been fine too. Him. Spinning around, or
acting like the Joker.
Yeah, because he already ended the movie. The first one, he was like that way. Right.
I guess the idea is it's implied that he's heavily medicated, and that's
but
it just doesn't work. It just didn't feel right.
Right. Or I feel like a guy like that, like the Joker, like he would find a way. Right. Like unless they were injecting him, he would find a way to like I could him vomiting or whatever, something like that.
In the movie, he easily didn't have to take that medication. Yeah. They show it, so why didn't they do it?
Did they ever actually show you how he doesn't do it?
No,
they just say, okay, they just take your word for it that, okay.
The other thing this movie does that felt very out of place to me, at the end of the courtroom scene, there's an explosion.
Yes!
Did that happen and you were like, what the fuck is this?
Right. When I was watching it, actually, to tell you the truth, when I was watching that scene, as soon as it happened, so basically at the end of towards the end of the film, folks, hopefully most of you who are listening or watching have seen it already, but when I saw that scene where basically at the end of after they say, all right, he's guilty, that whole thing. Right. There's an explosion in the courtroom. I went, no, in my mind. I said no, because it almost undermined that scene. It could have been more, in my opinion, more dramatic if, like you could have had a riot, but the explosion almost took it out of it. And of course,
so
and
out
then,
of place,
right? So
for the tone of the movie,
right? And the way the explosion happens actually happens behind his back. And like I said, nothing takes you out of a movie where, especially a movie like this, where it's very grounded in reality. Right. You know, I know there's fantasy scenes, but that's in his mind, but the rest of the movie's grounded in reality. Where like, anyway, when this bomb goes off, everyone else is dead
except for him.
And him, he has no. I don't think he has even a scratch on.
No, the only thing is his ears are ringing.
Right. All right.
That's the only thing.
But the explosion happened directly behind his back. How does someone several yards away, you know, they're hanging over it?
Right. You see Harvey Dent, half his face is scarred, and you're like, I know, you knew it was coming.
Right. I didn't mind that.
No, I didn't either. I mean,
but I just thought it was like, how is that possible? You know, but anyway, when that point, I don't think you even needed that part.
No,
and
it didn't.
You could have had just a riot. I could have dealt with a riot.
It was there till, I guess,
you know,
the end of the first movie is the riots in the street.
Yeah.
And he's dancing on top of the police car.
Yeah. But you could have had a riot with him maybe trying to, or maybe they knock over the
barricade.
Yeah, and they free him and he's running around. You know, I just felt the explosion thing just felt kind of like, and who did it? Was it, I guess, I don't think it was Harley Quinn.
No, I think it was
just
the people that,
the gang, whatever, his
idolize him or whatever.
Yes, thank
people.
you. Mm-hmm.
And then he eventually runs back to the stairs, and because you had to get to the stairs.
Yeah.
And she's there, and she turns him down.
Yeah, she rejects him.
And then he gets arrested. And that's
my wife. I thought this was a good thing in terms like here we are trying to rewrite the film, but just in terms like I said, I feel like this movie misses a lot of the first film. There's so many, like every moment just felt like intense, and I'm not saying you have to recreate the first one, but like this movie didn't really have that much intensity.
No, that's
unfortunately, which it should have had if he was where they left off with him being.
That first movie makes you think. You're like, God, mental illness is a bad thing.
Yeah,
like it makes you feel that.
Right.
In this movie, you're just like.
Right.
I don't know. It just is what it is.
But what my wife was saying is courtroom scene, right?
Yeah.
Instead of having an explosion, because there's a point, there's a person who disagrees with what happened, right? Or whatever. He was like, he gets furious.
Yeah.
She says it would have been cool maybe if like that person pulled out a gun, let's say,
right?
You know, and shot him, and he died there, you know. Or anyway, I think that would have been more dramatic. Than
the explosion felt so out of place.
Yeah.
It feels out of place. All right. So remember in Dark Knight, there's an explosion and the bus drives through the, you know what I mean?
Oh,
like
yeah,
that old bus
yeah.
scene,
Mm-hmm.
like when they have to drive away.
Yeah.
And if it's the same sort of explosion, but it makes sense in that movie.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense in this movie because it's just not that movie.
Right.
It felt very, very out of place. And then I'm interested in your thoughts on this.
All right. Well, before I know, you want to get to the ending, right?
Yeah.
Before we do, just to go back to just Lady Gaga, I do think she had a really good performance, and
I didn't. I
think, did you? Because like I said, at one, I don't know. This wasn't very clear too, because it sounds like the guards at the same Joker. They like him,
right?
At the same time, I know he said some kind of something off color about them while he was on trial. Oh, the guards treat me badly, and then they rape him, they beat him up, right? But at the same time, they allowed Harley Quinn to meet him in his prison cell.
I don't know if that actually happened.
Oh, okay. Because later on, folks, they have sex, and then at one point she says she's pregnant, which I think was. But you think that was just in his mind? He didn't actually.
They don't flat out let you know one way or the other. But it makes very little sense that the guards would let her go down there. So I feel like that might have been in his mind.
Yeah. Well, okay. I didn't. Yeah, I was just curious.
I mean, it could have happened.
I just going back to what I said before. If they imagine PJ, they did it like the comics do that with her falling in love. Imagine one, like, not trying to sound like perverted, but like that would have been really dramatic. Where like. He seduces her or whatever. She, unbuttons her blouse. Like that would have been like. Whoa! Like this was. I don't know.
I didn't like that whole scene either. It didn't make sense.
Right.
It takes you out of the movie because you can't help but watch a movie and compare it to real life. Yeah. And you watch it and you're like, "There's no way they let this girl go into this." At this point, he's in solitary confinement. Don't forget. There's just no way they would allow it.
There's never showing that she has some kind of allegiance to another. Right. Like maybe let's just say like one of the guards is like slimy, like I'll let you go if
they don't show any of that.
Right, you give me like some kind of sexual favor, like something like that.
She's not even really she's there voluntarily.
Yeah.
So it's not like.
And I love how she just enters like the courtroom, like she just shows up,
and they give her a seat.
And they already the whole world knows that those two were a thing. It's like almost like a Courtney Love kind of thing. It's like, why would you want this person? Like you actually can't ban her, from like a thing, but still, like I don't know. It just felt very forced, and certain things I just didn't like. I didn't like the first time she met or she saw Joker when she goes like she blows her brains out kind of thing. I'm like, that felt a little cheesy. That part was cringe.
But that's because that's from the first movie.
I didn't remember that.
He does that in the first movie.
Where, on screen?
Yeah.
Well, I mean on screen, like in the Robert De Niro show. Like
no, he does that when he's talking. This is part of the reason why this movie makes no fucking sense.
But
he does that in his mind the first time he sees Zazie Beetz.
Right.
They're meeting in the elevator.
Oh.
And he does.
I don't remember that.
I
didn't remember that.
Yeah. And
I thought he did it maybe on.
No.
He did it on camera
That's something he did in his mind when he was hallucinating or whatever, being with his neighbor. He does that in his mind, and they bond over it, and that's why he goes into her apartment, because he starts to think they have this connection.
Right.
That move, that thing, is why. And nobody would know that ever happened because it never actually happened.
Right. Well, how does she know? That's what I'm saying. How does she know
Bad
that?
writing. That's how she knows that.
Right.
Bad fucking writing.
Even if she saw it on, let's say, it happened, in universe, it wasn't in his mind.
How would she know? They make a big shit about there being a TV movie about the whole story.
Yeah.
I guess you could infer they did it on that, but how would anyone know?
That's true. That's a good point.
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
Getting,
Whole
I guess,
bad.
and there's I don't. Before we get to the ending, PJ, like I said, going with people who, like the guy next to me in the theater, he already went into the movie wanting to hate it. Like, I want to be like, bro, I want to almost can we pause the film? Like, bro, give the movie a chance. Don't just hate on it. But I don't really understand this. The divisive ending. I don't know. Is it really that I don't really think it's that. I don't know. I don't really think that.
So
I didn't. PJ, take it away.
Let's say what the ending is, right? He's back in prison.
Yep.
I guess awaiting the death sentence.
Yeah.
And one of the guards goes into the room where they're all sitting. He goes, Arthur Fleck, you have a visitor.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's walking into the to where the visitors are, and as he's walking, he passes by another inmate, and he says, "Hey, Arthur, can I tell you a joke?" Mm-hmm. And
long story
short, it starts off, oh, there's a clown, he's in a bar, blah 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 blah, and the ending of that is the punchline of that joke was the bartender tells the clown, what do you want? What do you want as your drink? And he goes, I don't know. He goes, well, what if I just give you what you fucking deserve?
Right.
Which is the same line he says to Murray.
Right.
And then he stabs the Joker. He shivs it
shanks him.
And he holds his stomach.
Mm-hmm.
He drops down dying. The other inmate takes the shiv, and he carves a smile into his face.
Right. So
alluding to him being maybe the next Joker.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe this. He becomes the Joker that, I guess, let's just say a Batman does arrive in this universe. Right. He's going to be fighting him. Well, here's my thing. Did you think he was going to die at the end of this film?
I did and I didn't. And I'll say what I mean.
I was surprised. But part of me wasn't surprised. Like, yeah.
The thing about the Joker in the comics, and I know this is in the comics. I get it. In most of the Joker's original appearances in Batman comics, he dies at the end of every story. But he always just shows up again.
Right.
And he's not really dead.
Mm-hmm.
So, whenever I see the Joker on film, Batman 89, he dies at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
I always kind of feel like the ending of every Joker story should be him dying, but then he just comes back. Because that's what it is. That's what the Joker is.
I mean,
so when I see him die on film, it doesn't surprise me.
Well, I think there's a chance. People think he might... I don't think they're going to make a third one.
Not after the reception this one got. They'd be crazy.
Maybe, depending on how much money it makes. But I'm okay that the way he
No, I don't think it's another one. I don't think if he's dead, he's dead.
Right.
I just always feel like that's always on the table, so it doesn't surprise me if he's dead.
I don't know what people make it a big deal. Like, I don't really think the ending was that contra. Oh my God, I can't.
I think the controversy comes from here. There is on the internet.
The internet.
That stupid internet.
That bully internet.
The big internet rumor is that the guy who kills him is Heath Ledger.
Yeah, that wouldn't make any sense. I don't get that.
But that's why people don't like it, because the big internet rumor is that it's Heath Ledger's Joker because he has the scars.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that.
That's where that controversy.
Yeah, but I think that takes place in a whole different universe.
I think so too.
Yeah, I don't think the Batman in this is actually
no, I don't think
Christian
so
Bale at all.
But I think that's why people don't like it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
For me, I don't really mind that he died. Or I'm assuming that he died.
Well, I don't think we're ever going to know because we're never going to see it again. So he might as well be dead. But
right.
I don't think we're going to get Joker 3.
Right.
I don't think it's happening. And I don't think it should.
Right. I'll I guess as we're wrapping this up, PJ, my final thoughts, and I want to get your rating out of 10. I'll say this. I'll do some positive. I'll do my positive, negative. You do your positive, negative, then we'll final score. So my positives, my opinion, I thought the acting was great. Honestly, True Blue, I thought all the acting was great. The cinematography looks great. The music in terms of score is fine. When they do sing, I'm not turned off by the singing or any. It doesn't add anything to the film, and I think you could eliminate it and the film would have been fine. So I don't. Like I said, just like a shout out to, like I said, Brandon Gleeson, Catherine Keener. She was a lawyer for.
She did
Joker.
a good job, the lawyer.
Yeah,
she did.
And Lady Gaga, I gotta give her True Blue. She did a good job. She played. You hate her. You end up really hating her. I think she accomplished that, and all the acting's great. Negatives, like I said, you didn't need the musical scenes. They don't ruin the movie. I don't think this is not a musical. This isn't Grease. It's not Chicago. I just think the story could have been better. I wish. Like I said, there was a really Harley Quinn, focused that, and I wish Joker was confident when it started off, that transformation. And long story short, I don't think I would ever watch this film again, though. Maybe besides clips on YouTube, but I would never actually sit down and watch the whole thing again. The first one I would definitely rewatch, and I'm just really surprised that. Going back to we said in the beginning, I'm surprised Joaquin signed on to do a sequel. I mean, he seems like a very smart guy dedicated. I think he has a passion for acting and film, and I guess he thought the script was. I feel like he'd be like, I feel like he said Todd has to be in it, and the script has to be good. Yeah. And I guess he felt confident that this was it. And this was actually very hard for me to rate. Like I said, I don't think it's the worst movie ever. I think those are totally dramatic answers. I just think maybe I'll be. Maybe this is generous. I think it's floated between a 5 and a 6. Truthfully,
it's definitely higher than I'm going to give it. Before I give my positives and negatives, I will say this. All right, as we're recording in a comic book store.
Yeah.
I am a shill for all of this shit, right?
Right.
I love comic books. I love comic book movies.
Mm-hmm.
I love the comic book TV shows and the cartoons and all that stuff, right? We know this about me. And I understand we could say as many times, it's its own thing. You can't judge it on the comics. You can't judge it on what's come before. These are intellectual properties that exist already. And you can adapt them and change them and make them into your own thing. At the end of the day, I do feel like the core of these characters, what makes these characters who they are, needs to somehow be represented in these films. The first Joker movie, I have said many times, I'll probably say it again, an excellent movie. Not an excellent Joker movie, because that's certainly not the Joker at any stretch, but an excellent movie nevertheless.
Yeah.
Right? This movie is not an excellent Joker movie, because again, he's not really the Joker. The core of that character is he is the clown prince of crime. Mm-hmm. We don't get that here, okay? So, all right, fine. I cannot call it an excellent Joker movie, as he is not the Joker. Is it a different telling of the story? Yes. Okay, let's take a look at it from that respect. They basically tell you in this movie he's not Batman's Joker. They make that very clear.
Yeah.
That's fine. I don't know if you ever watched the TV show Gotham.
No.
In the TV show Gotham, they also have a character that is essentially a prototype Joker.
Right.
The Joker before you meet the real Joker. It's obviously a different characterization and different writing and everything else. The TV show got it better than the movie did when they tried to explain that this is just a character that inspires someone else to be the Joker. The TV show gets it way better. So just looking at it from the perspective of the movie, a telling of a story that shows someone who inspires the Joker, it's not the best one of that because they've done that better in a different universe, if you will.
Right.
So just trying to compare story points, right?
Right.
Still not good there because it's already been done better. You look at all these pieces of the film, you look at all of the different interpretations that are out there, and it fails on every single level in terms of a comic book movie. So if you look at it as a comic book movie, it's a DC Comics movie.
Right.
I think it is maybe one of, if not the worst comic book movies ever made.
Right.
Now,
Now, as a movie on its own, though, as a Todd Phillips film,
as a Todd Phillips film, taking out, if we pretend that this has nothing to do with comic books, so we look at
it just as its own,
right? I think this, as it connects to the first movie, it fails to connect just as a sequel. There are things that happen in the first movie that are referenced incorrectly in this movie. There is a vibe or a feeling of the first movie that's not replicated in this movie to the point where it takes you out of it and you question, like, how are we here? How is this character
connected?
Here?
Yeah.
It's so disjointed. So as a sequel, it fails, and is it the worst sequel ever made? No. Is it a very, very, very bad sequel? Absolutely. So now, all right, let's take that out of the equation. We won't judge it as a sequel to something that already exists, but just as a movie on its own.
Yeah.
Just as a movie on its own. Failed as a comic book movie, failed as a sequel. The acting to me falls flat, and it feels very forced. That whole thing with Joker in the courtroom, putting on these voices and all that feels forced. It doesn't feel authentic. I personally found Lady Gaga to be a drain on the movie. I don't think she was that great in it. I didn't hate her because of the things she did in the movie. I hated her because of the things she didn't do in the movie. And I don't think she added anything to this film that makes you say, well, this is why he's descending back into this personality.
Right. I always say, Lady Gaga, she's actually not even in the movie that much.
No.
So you can't.
But that's the point.
That's not her doing.
That's not her doing.
That doesn't mean it makes her performance bad.
The parts where she was in, I just felt she falls flat. But the thing is, like, if she's the driving force behind all of this, she should be in it more, and she should be more impactful when she is, and she doesn't. To me, her character, her choices, the things this character doesn't show enough to me that would show why he descends back in.
I agree. That's why it goes back to the same thing. Writing and directing.
I would say this movie, directed poorly, written poorly, acted poorly, doesn't connect to its first movie. It's a bad sequel. No redeeming qualities as a comic book movie. The best part of the movie is the security guard or the police guy. He's fantastic. I love the opening credits of that opening animation. I think that's great. Cinematography was very well. I mean, nothing there. I give this a 2 out of 10 on its best day. On its best day. And this isn't me, like I said, I tried to judge it on all these different things to find a positive. It fails on every level. It's a terrible movie. Don't waste your money on it. Like that.
Yeah, I guess closing, what I'd recommend this film. If you really enjoyed the first one and you really want to see it on the big screen, yes, see it. But if you're someone who's like, you didn't love the first one, just wait till streaming. Or not see it at all.
Yeah, and you miss out on nothing by not seeing it.
Right. Yeah. So if you really cherish the first one and you don't want to, somehow tarnish it, don't even bother. Keep the first. Yeah,
that's very fair.
But woo. Well, kind of like Joker said in the film. That's all, folks. Thanks for listening. Same time, same table.
Have a good one.
The Joker is me.
Boys and girls, lunchtime is over. For more information, visit their website at coolkidslunchtable.podbean.com. Follow the boys on all social media platforms. Just search Cool Kids Lunch Table Podcast. Now get to class before you get detention.